Hey, what's up everyone, Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be breaking down the Diamond League 100-meter final. We're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. All right, so we had another final here. Really, I should have gone live for this. I'm sorry I didn't. I should have gone live for really the men's 100 and the women's 100. We had Trayvon Bromell run a 9.95, a great run. Marvin Bracey ran a 10-second, and then also Akeem Blake also ran 10 seconds. Both of them did really, really good. Always great to have three guys in those 9-second areas, especially because the weather was not great, so all these guys are moving really fast. We're going to go and take a look at Trayvon Bromell, guy that has by far, not by far I guess, but definitely one of the best starts in the world right now. And really, the main thing that we really want to consider, really looking at all the guys, we could see that they do a great job in keeping their feet down low as they're accelerating through. So, right, we get this great push off and a lot of over-exaggeration within that back arm action, right? Look at how high Trayvon Bromell gets that backhand and also gets that front elbow all the way up. I think that's a really good thing to help you in being able to accelerate, especially outside the blocks. But even guys that are starting from a 3.2-point stance, you got to be able to get active with the arms quick because that really allows you to generate a lot more force within the hips. If you try to jump as high as you can, not using your arms in comparison to jumping as high as you can while using your arms, you're going to see and feel a significant different result. And so it's the same type of thing when we're doing what's essentially a broad jump here as you're starting off with the sprint. So big initial step there, right? And also getting that step down is important, right? Coming up and through, not getting too high too quickly within the legs and also within the spine, right? So we want to be able to maintain the knees and the feet coming straight forward and through, minimize the gap in between the knees, right, as we are driving that knee forward and through. We don't want to end up getting too wide with those knees too early, okay? Also, look to see, and you can see here, a little bit too much active, a little too active in the spine, right? It's popping up with the head, doing a little bit too much there, right? See how calm Trayvon Bromell is? See how calm even Johan Blake is right there? Okay, sticking with that acceleration, continuing to get that foot out in front, and then here is already getting that foot down very, very effectively there, right? Like, look at how straight that leg is as that foot's hitting the ground, already at about 0.1 in terms of foot contact time. This is still really, really early on, probably within like the first 20 meters. And then from here, and even as you're accelerating, you want to be getting those hips up, hips up, hips up. Okay, they're keeping their spine down, but they're getting their hips up while maintaining and landing on the front third of the foot. I think that ends up being a big thing to maintain acceleration, is we want to have a good relationship in how we're getting into our drive phase by maintaining our weight landing on that front third of the foot. Okay, so a lot of times what I see happen is that once you start getting into the drive phase, or when their foot is hitting the ground further back into their base of their foot. Okay, and so if we can draw, these are your toes here. I'm not a great artist. These are your toes, right? When you're first starting, you're landing somewhere. The goal is to be landing somewhere in this kind of area, right? Once people get into the drive phase, it starts going back, 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 so you're landing more closer to the middle of the foot. Okay, the goal here is to be able to maintain that acceleration, so maintain landing on that front third. We see that really, really good in the angle with Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. I just did the breakdown on her as well. You can go ahead and click the link above in order to check that out. But being able to maintain a lot of weight forward, right, or being able to continue to hit with the front third of your foot makes it so you can continue to accelerate here. Okay, because once you start to land further back in your foot, then that makes it so now your time spent on the ground gets just a little bit more, right? I mean, the thing that's just very underlooked is, the difference between coming in first and fourth place was a 1/10 of a second, right? Trayvon Bromell, 9.95, Marvin Bracey, 10 seconds, Akeem Blake, 10 seconds, fourth place, Christian Coleman, 10.13. Right? So not a big difference between the guy that came in first and the guy that came in fourth. Okay, and so all these little things matter. Again, once you start spending an extra 100th of a second on the ground, that's what gives some of these guys the ability to start to create some separation. Even going into, we've seen races recently that are thousandths of a difference at the end. And so spending that little extra time on the ground because you landed further back in the foot, or not being able to properly get through the acceleration phase and that drive phase, makes a huge difference on how well you're able to get into that top end speed and be able to really finish that race. Right? And so that's one of the things that a lot of these guys, they do really, really good, is they continue to land on that front third. So they have a lot of that momentum going forward for at least 40 to 50 meters, right? So they're continuing to accelerate. Once you get into your top speed and you're comfortably into that top speed, now you can land a little bit further back into the foot, because that's where a little bit more power comes from, right? When you have to go and squat a lot of weight, right? You got to get out of that squat. You got to have a lot of your weight a little bit further back in order to really get that, 500-600 pounds, right? But that doesn't mean that we want to immediately get back into our stance, because again, that's going to make it so our foot contact time ends up being a lot more. And so even though we're generating a little bit more force into the ground, right, and that's what ends up being the thing, is like when you start to put your foot further back or land further back into your foot, you're going to be able to generate more force into the ground, which is a good thing, right? But we want to be able to do that when we get into our top speed. We don't want to rush into being able to generate a ton of force into the ground, because then again, what happens is that you end up spending too much time on the ground, and all that force, even though it could end up helping you and being able to get a little bit more distance per step, you've lost so much speed that it doesn't end up being a benefit for you. So maintaining both a good solid distance per step while also keeping more of your weight forward on your foot ends up being a critical part of being able to have a great drive phase, and then being able to properly transition into that top end speed. Once you get going and you can get your body into the right position, and you can get into a spot where you're consistently landing with your foot in the right spot, and you have the timing all worked out, now, yeah, we want to be able to shift a little bit more weight into the back of the foot. But until then, we got to keep all of our weight forward. We got to keep all of our momentum forward. We got to keep our foot contact times down. All right. So as always, guys, thanks for watching the video here. We did have a great finish. I will show you guys the finish, because I know that was something that I really highlighted here, where you could see, Trayvon Bromell did a great job being able to lean through. He already knew he was in a good winning position here, being in that middle spot. Marvin Bracey right there with him, 1 and 2, and even 4. USA, again, is doing really, really good right now with a lot of our sprinters. Out of these top 9 guys, let's see, 5 of them were from the U.S., so really, really well represented, which is great. There are 2 Jamaicans. We had Sonny Brown from Japan. We had Simbini from South Africa, and those were all the guys. Elijah Hall, he did great in the World Championships. Kyrie King was also there as well. He came in 9th place, but still ran in 10:29. So a lot of great guys. Christian Coleman obviously came in 4th. So a lot of great competition. Trayvon Bromell right now is definitely one of the best sprinters in the world. Fred Curley is also right there with them. And then we also got Marvin Bracey. So a lot of great sprinters, a lot of great events. Next time I'm going to make sure to be live for this. I'm sorry for missing this, but at least we got the breakdown. At least we got some great information. As always, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Like the video, subscribe, check out some of the things we have in the description down below in order to understand how you can get faster. We want to go hard into the mechanics. What are you doing within your mechanics that you can get better at? And let's have some accountability. Let's get very specific into what it is you need to do, how often you need to be training, and be able to have some of that back and forth really collaboration to make it so you can allow yourself to get a lot better. I'm I like to be able to collaborate. I don't think of it as, there's just only one way to be able to run faster. While there are a lot of things that we see that are time and again showing to be able to help you in running fast, how we get there is different for everybody. We all have different anatomical differences, which make it so maybe a lower limb strength's a little bit longer, or the ability to land at certain parts of our feet end up being a little bit different. Christian Coleman ends up turning out with his feet a lot because of how some of his body is aligned. And so how can we make it so with your organism, with your body, with the gifts that God gave you, how can we make it so you can get the most out of all 3 phases of the sprint: the start, the drive phase, the top end speed? And that really ends up being the main thing of what we focus on here at the Performance Lab. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Again, like the video, subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.